Get out the insurance cards, get out the co-pays. The office is open, my friends, as this video is brought to you by drroto.com.
Oh, well, good morning, my friends. It is I, Johnny Danger, and with me, as always, Mr. Adam White. We've been gone for a couple weeks, sir, and man, I forgot how beautiful you are. You're a beautiful man.
Thank you. I have a mustache now.
I know, I love it. I love it so much. Just like my boy, Mr. Phillips. He fell apart on me, but I think he's going to be a staple in my lineup from now on.
Simply because of the mustache?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I do sort of like him at the Birdie Fest events, but sorry for the burger encouragement last week. That did not work out well for you.
Totally fine. It's totally fine. I got it out of the way because we weren't on the air. I had to put a bummer in so we could lock it in for this week. That's what we have to do. First, how was the Rocket?
Rocket was great. I did watch a number of the young guns, including Luke Clanton, Neil Shipley. Don't think I got to look at Thorbjornsen, but yeah, it's always fun being down there. It played a little more difficult because of the wind and the conditions. I watched a lot of guys struggle chipping it from around the greens in that thick rough. But it was a great day. I was out there pretty much all day on Thursday, and it was enjoyable watching those guys come down the stretch on Sunday, again on a course that I've played and that was out on Thursday. And good event, man. Another good finish. Most years it's been kind of down to the wire. So Rocket was great. We transitioned to kind of a crazy birdie fest last week, but everybody was on Davis Thompson, including myself, and Davis Thompson won the tournament.
Yeah, I talked myself out of him, even though all three models had him number one, because I said, well, if all three models have him number one, everybody will be on him. I'll pay somebody else. It didn't work for me, brother.
He's been written up several times this year in my article, and he was trending with a T9 at the U.S. Open. He finished T2 at the Rocket, one shot out of the lead, and then just ran away with it on Sunday, man. I was like, is he gonna feel a little nervous sleeping on the lead? And then he birdied 5 of the first 6 holes. And it was like, okay.
Yeah, no nervous at all, right? I feel very branded today. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah? I can't see what that is. Oh, yeah. Look at you. New Holland. All right. You got your hat. You got your
only I could get Old Nation Brewing Company to sponsor our podcast.
Old Nation. Company man.
Maybe someday. Anywho, my friend, I am excited to get into the Scottish Open. Like I noticed before, Scottish with 2 T's, British with 1 T. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I do like that they're back-to-back. Why don't you tell me about the Scottish, and let's get into this.
Well, Danger, we're heading over to Scotland, the home of golf. We're at the Renaissance Club in Berwick, Scotland. So we got 5 par 3s this week. That's the unique thing. 3 par 5s. Last year, Rory won with a phenomenal 2-iron on the final hole to beat out hometown favorite Bobby McIntyre on the final hole by a shot. It is typically a very fluctuating sort of winning score. We'll start with that. 15 under for Rory last year. Xander at 7 the year before. Min Woo at 18 the year before that. Aaron Rai at 11 the year before that. And Bernd Wiesberger at 22 under par. So it's a lot of variance based on the wind. And at least as of now, the wind looks like it's going to stay pretty tame for the week. So I'm expecting it to be a little more like the upper teens as far as the winning score. If you start looking at some of the course breakdown, it is not a traditional links style Scottish course. It is that par 70, as we mentioned, 3 par 3s between 200 and 220, a couple of them right at 150 and 160, depending on where the pin placements and tee boxes are. So you got a lot of iron shots you're going to be hitting in that kind of upper 100s to 200 range. It is also a more difficult course as far as how many players hit the fairways. You're about 9% lower than regulation as far as fairways hit. You're a few percent lower on greens in regulation, despite the greens being huge. So you're going to have lag putting come into play a little more than usual. Less birdies, about 2.66 per round as compared to 3.23. This is all historical based on the last 5 years. Par 4 scoring, par 5 scoring, pretty similar to usual. Par 3 a little more difficult. So we will see how things shake out, but I'm expecting this week with the way things are going. And hearing the course is very firm, at least as of now, for that winning score to be a little bit up in that kind of upper teens range. And it's not only going to favor the Bombers. We've seen guys like we mentioned with Aaron Rai, Tom Kim contended the last 2 years. You don't have to be a Bomber to contend here. Only like Rory and some of the longest hitters, Min Woo, will be able to carry some of these bunkers at 300 plus. That really gives you the advantage. So only a few guys in the field will really have that advantage over the rest based on the distance and carry distance off the tee. So it brings a lot of different players into play. So it's going to be an interesting breakdown and kind of see how the ownership all shakes out.
I absolutely love it.
I'm fired up, though. I mean, we talked about this being the lead up to the PGA, to the British Open. It's the third year it's been a PGA Tour sanctioned event. So you're getting a lot of players that are elite. I mean, you've got everybody you'd want except for Scotty, really, minus the live guys. So going to be a fun week, my friend. Let's break it down.
I think that we should. I think, you know what we should do?
Should break it down.
We should break it down. We're going to break it down.
Let's break it
All
down.
right, let me get the old machine working here. We got Rory, we got Xander, we got Ludwig, all up in the 10K range, rounding out with Mr. Colin Morikawa. I like it, man. I like them all. I like them all, buddy. I can't put my finger on one this time. Usually I have one I like and fade the rest. I like all four. You're going to have to help me with this one. I got nothing for you because they all rank out fabulously in every category I'm looking at.
They do. And the fun thing about this is I did all of my research and whatnot for the article like yesterday, late morning, and ownership projections were not out at that time. So I'm seeing ownership pretty much for the first time officially. Had a feeling who'd be popular and whatnot, but it is hard not to love all four of these guys up top. Like if you're starting to poke holes in it, you could say, all right, Morikawa doesn't hit it as long, hasn't played well at this golf course. You could take him out if you wanted to. But he's been playing phenomenal this year. And Rory, coming off that absolute heartbreak, missing 2 short putts in the last 4 holes at the U.S. Open. Is he going to have some carryover there? I'm going to say no. It's been long enough that I think he's probably revamped and ready to go. So you can't really take him off for that reason. I just think you got to kind of pick your spots here. So personally, I am on Xander heavily at his price. I don't think he would have batted an eye if he was more expensive than Rory. So I'm starting with Xander up top. Won here 2 years ago. He's playing the best golf of his career this season, most consistent, and he's added some distance off the tee. I would not be surprised if he ran away with it. So I'm starting there. If I want to differentiate, I'm doing 3 lineups this week. So you can start with a little like Ludwig and a couple of the guys we talk about down here in the 9 and 8K ranges to start based on ownership. But things are pretty spread out in the 9K range. So Rory looking like, what do you got? I got him at 22%, Schauffele at like 20, Ludwig and Morikawa like 15 to 17.
I've got Ludwig at 26, Colin at 27, Xander at 30, and Rory at 32.
Holy crap. It's amazing how different our projections are sometimes.
But it really is.
Yeah. Ludwig at 30? My goodness. Okay. Well, anyway. Yeah, Xander and Ludwig are my guys up top. You got to plant your flag somewhere. Like you said, you can't play all 4. You can't even really play 2 of them without your lineup.
Oh, baby. My first lineup, I got Rory, Xander, and Decky all in it. I might keep it, too. I don't know. I like it. It's really good. Makes me happy.
Does it?
It makes me happy. Dude, I got Chandler Phillips in there, bro. Come on. You know.
It must be mentioned, we do have a 5K range this week. So, yeah, Rory and Xander are expensive up there in the mid to high 11s.
But you can do it.
You got a 5K range. It's doable. You
can do it. Hey, Phillips looked good for 2 days last week.
He did.
He did. Can he do it again? I don't know. Probably not.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's Xander all the way for me. I've built 3 or 4 mock lineups just playing with pricing last night, and I just couldn't get away from Xander. I just like his upside. I like his swagger he's got going on right now. I dig it. I don't think that Colin Morikawa will be as owned as my particular simulation models are saying that he is. So I do kind of like the pivot to Colin if you really want to. I think he'll end up being the least owned of those 4. But then down in the 9K range, let's talk about that, man. Honestly, I think Sungjae In sticks out on me in the projections, man. And that hasn't been the case for me recently.
Are we doing 9K range or 9 and 8?
Oh, I'm sorry. He pops so far up into my projections, my friend, that he pops up ahead of all but 4 of the 9K people. So sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. So there you go. That's my flag plant. You've already heard it. Sumjay in 8,500, criminally underpriced because he should be up there in the mid 9K range. But before we get to him, let's talk about it. Tom Kim, former champion.
No, he's not a former champion here, but he is a former PGA Tour champion.
Yes.
Yeah, Tommy Kim, the train. He's priced way up here. In this field, it's a little bit uncomfortable for me because he's not a long hitter. So he's basically got to hit his irons, with precision this week and be. I mean, granted, he's trending pretty well in that category, but he did not play well at the Rocket. Travelers approach play looked great. There is a correlation between Travelers success and Scottish Open success. So really, if you play well at that par 70, good chance you'll play well here. He's my fade for me in the 9K range, though.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. Also, Tommy, I can't play Tommy at 99. He's burned me every time. Don't tell me Tommy.
I'm personally on Tommy. I think Tommy is a very good bet to top 10 here. Victor, I'm out. He's been too erratic with his, especially around the green.
You were going to tell me Tommy. I can't do it. Every time he looks good and he's at the top of the range, he burns me, man.
I don't think I've had much Tommy success either over the years, but damn it, I'm not going to let my previous biases based on being burned come into play here when I'm evaluating this. So
Tommy, how about Decky, man? Decky, steady Eddie Decky. Come on.
I love Decky this week. He's sandwiched right between Minwoo and Tom Kim. Those are both fades for me. Decky, his approach play was off at the Travelers, which is normally not the case. He gains on approach almost every single week. So I'm expecting Decky to bounce back, and he has had some good links, windy, Scottish, not so nice weather success in the past. So some of that factors in, man. You got some of these pampered dudes that love to play in like the nice, warm, cozy temperatures and get their muscles all loose. Give me some Decky, man. Decky, I'm sorry, he's just a better player than Minwoo, than Tom Kim, than Fitz. I'd say more than Hovland or Tommy too. Like
I got Fitz outside of my top 15 in both the projections I ran.
He's a great links player. I think that's why he's getting popped up here. He's got some decent course history here, but no, I'm not on him either. I got 3 guys in the 7K range ranked above Matt Fitz, buddy. In the 7K. Woo. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm falling here. Like Tommy's going to be highly owned. If you want to pivot, for me, it is Decky, just because he's a better player than anybody else in that range overall. So Victor, when he's on, Victor's probably a little bit better than Decky, but he hasn't been on pretty much this entire year outside of a couple events. So fading him due to that erratic play. Give me some Decky there in the 9K range. I think we can move on to the 8s.
Absolutely love it. I already teased it, man. Number one chance of 10x the salary in the 8K range of any range, actually. Number one chance of 10K, 10 times salary. Sungjae Im. He's my guy, man. He's my flag plant here in the upper half of the contestants, and I love him. I feel like we were mean to him. We weren't nice to him earlier in the year. And I feel like, he watched our videos and got personally motivated to get his game back in shape.
Yeah. No, I heard his caddy has informed those in the know that he ate a lot of food in the wintertime and maybe gained a little chubba-dub-dub. But man, the last few events, he's gained in almost every category. Approach play was off at the Memorial, but US Open off the tee and approach got cut. Didn't really play. He doesn't play well at majors typically. But Travelers, everything looked great. Par 70 course, finished T3. Last week, he just crapped the bed on Saturday, and it irritated me. He yanked one off a tree on 17. Was lucky to make a bogey on that reachable par 5. His drive went less than 100 yards. It was sick to watch the shot length. I was like, what happened? He turned out. He hit out sideways from the trees. He was hitting his third shot from 400 and some yards away. I'm like, Decky, Sungjae, what'd you do? Anywho, yeah, he's Mr. Consistent, but he does not, for me, he does not typically play well over in this region. I don't know if he doesn't like the cold weather, what the deal is, but he is actually a fade for me. I know Aaron Rise right there, probably more highly owned. The one that I'm really surprised to see here is that Wyndham Clark is projected as the highest owned. Is that what you're seeing in this range, Danger?
I'm not.
Okay, so I got Wyndham at 15%. Closest would be Spieth at 13. Okay, now I'm not trusting my projections at all.
Yeah, I got Wyndham at 10.
All right. Yeah, I got Wyndham as the highest. I don't think that's going to happen. But the guys I like in this range, I was getting on Justin Thomas a little bit. I think I'm getting off that now, seeing that he may be. Maybe I'll just ignore my ownership projections and look at yours. I don't know. But Coco, I like a lot. I think you can viably start with Decky, Coco, and Xander and fill your lineup out with some of the bargain plays down below and actually feel pretty decent about it. So I like Coco a lot. I like Aaron Rai is going to be highly owned. He's been playing so well. He's won here in the past. This is why I was kind of liking JT as a bit of a pivot, but it sounds like more people are on him. I did originally like Wyndham as a possible pivot, but if he's going to be one of the higher owned guys in this range, then
I have him as the second to lowest owned in the 8K range.
All right. So we talked about this before, but
I have only Jordan Spieth with lower ownership.
Yeah, we mentioned well, as it should be, but we mentioned the Travelers being a decent comp course. He shot a final round 63. Wyndham Clark did to finish T9 there, and I think people may look at him when it comes down to it and say, well, it's not a bomber's course. So Wyndham, I don't know. Wyndham's out. Like, he is one of the guys I was mentioning, along with Rory and Min Woo, who can kind of bomb it over some of these bunkers that are in play for most of the field, and the shorter guys might be laying up from. So I don't know. I think there is, if the ownership does stay a little bit lower on him, Wyndham Clark, I think, is very viable here. He can get really hot with the putter. The greens aren't particularly difficult.
What about our boy Sahith?
Sahith? No, I don't know. But my instinct says no pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
With that said, it's not a super penal course off the tee if you get a little erratic, which he tends to do. So even if he's a little offline with his drives, he might have a chance to knock it out of that fescue rough. He could be a sneaky one. So I probably won't be on him in my main lineup, but could see him as a nice pivot in some of the others. His form's been a little off lately. Just not gaining on approach like he was when he was putting that string of, solid top 10, top 15s together.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sahith is not, he just doesn't feel like he doesn't have a lot of links experience. But again, this is not a super linksy course. So if the wind stays down, I could see him doing a little something.
Yeah. Hey, 2 out of the 3, which I'll mention, DFS Hero, Data Golf, and Pater DFS, the models and projections and simulations we like to look at. 2 of the 3 have Sungjae in under 9% ownership. I kind of like that. Look, man, he's got 6 top 12 finishes and 2 missed cuts in the last 8. I'm leaning. I'm sorry. I can't get off him. I'm in. I can't do Wyndham Clark. He's burned me too many times. I have a personal vendetta against him at this point.
You're in or you're im?
I'm im. Yeah, I can't do Aaron Rai. I think he's going to be way overowned, just with his recent form and former champion here. You would think that's a good thing, and it probably is, and I'll probably burn myself by not doing it. But I feel like you got to get off the train at the right exit.
Well, and I think the train has been on the track for so long. Like, he played the John Deere last week. He played the Rocket the week before that. He had a week off before that he had played the U.S. Open, which is a very, grinding event where he finished T19. So I'm kind of with you here. Like, I think the playing in a late group, he was in the final group on Sunday, I believe, playing in a late group after 2 straight weeks, now flying over there. He knows the course at least. I'm sure he can figure out how to get himself in the right mindset and fight that jet lag. But I don't know. I'm off him just for ownership. I think there are better plays here in the 8K range. They'll give you more leverage. So I'm off him as well.
Dig it. All right, let's dive down into the 7K range. 2 similar names that we talked about that you liked last week. Talk about Davis Thompson, talking about Bobby Mack. Bobby Mack pops in this range for me. Is it flop lag week for Bobby Mack?
I think it is. I watched Bobby Mack struggle his ass off at the Rocket, which pissed me off because he was in my main lineup. The rest of that lineup was fire, but damn it, I had Bobby Mack in there. So I am back on him. I think he did take the week off last week from the deer. He's been over here preparing. He's a Scotland boy. He's been playing some really fine golf before, kind of that bed pooping at the Rocket. Finished 16th at the Travelers in an elevated event, despite his approach play being off. Approach play is not necessarily his strength, so if you're going to fade him, I don't know. That could be the reason why. You got a guy like Max Homa down here, man, in the 7K range.
Right.
He's been struggling, but I think he's going to get some clicks because he's still Max Homa, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I have him at the highest owned in this range. Well, Davis Thompson's highest owned, and then Max Homa right behind him. But I mean, you also have, Sepp Straka right there, Benny Ann right there, Siwoo Kim right there, all people who are gonna, take some ownership.
Yeah, Siwoo, I don't think will as much. He's got a terrible track record out here in links courses. This is like his kryptonite. Whereas, whatever the good stuff is for Superman, his power food was
the sun.
The sun. Yeah, Pete Dye courses were like Siwoo's sun, whereas links courses are his kryptonite. So I'm not on Siwoo. My guy in here in the top end of this 7K range is Benny An.
Yeah,
he's had a couple rough goes of it, but we've seen in the past this season with his game, he can pop at a course that fits him, even though he hasn't been playing well coming in. Like, he finished T16 at the Masters after missing 2 cuts in a row. His skill set fits very well here, and he finished T3 here last year in his very first appearance. So Benny Ann is a guy that I'm really on this. I mean, this has been a broken record all year, but I love what I've seen out of his game. I think he provides you with some really nice upside there in the mid 7Ks. If you're starting with some of these top end dudes, like we talked about, Xander or Ludwig and Decky, maybe Coco or somebody in the 8K range.
Right.
And you still need some upside. Like a guy like Denny McCarthy, you might look at and go, oh yeah, he could putt his way. He's not finishing top 10, man. Like, it's just not happening here. So that's kind of where I'm at up top. Like, Bezuidenhout's showing as one of the best values in the entire event, based on a couple of the projections that I'm looking at, Data Golf as well as DFS Hero. Seabaz do anything for you here in the top end of the 7K range, Danger?
Man. Pay Dirt Simulation says a poo-poo Bezuidenhout.
All right. Well, you're staying loyal to your Pay Dirt. I think
it's treated me well when I kept with it, buddy. It just has.
That's true. That's true.
You know who it does like a little bit more than that, but not a whole lot? Tom Hoagie, who has always treated me well when I find him in my lineup. Can I trust a Hoagie at 7,100?
I like Hoagie this week, man. I like Hoagie this week. And, I didn't put him in my article. I'm trying to play a little strategy here. Hopefully guys don't look and just pop the guys from my article into their lineups to play against me this week in our big contest that's rounding out the last 2 weeks. But I like Scotty, man. Adam Scott is a phenomenal links player, loves playing in this part of the world. He finished really well at the Travelers a couple weeks ago. Honestly, probably his best round of the year. He shot 64. He lost on approach that week, which is pretty unusual for him. He almost always gains off the tee. What was encouraging to me is he did a lot of his damage on and around the greens. So he's able to work the ball both ways. If the wind picks up, he can kind of work it against that left to right wind with a draw or vice versa. So I like Scotty, man. He's found something with that long putter, with the broomstick lab golf putter. So I like him there. And then another model darling for me that I'm seeing, although he can't putt, has typically not putted very well, is Mr. Keith Mitchell.
And that's who I went with last week, and it didn't work for me.
Last week it did. I don't know about you talking about the Rocket?
The Rocket, yes. Sorry, the Rocket.
Yeah, because last week he
I get confused when we don't do shows. Time passes too quickly.
I know, man. We gotta slow time down. But if you do look at his last couple events, despite putting like an absolute boob at the Rocket and missing the cut by a shot, he was in my lineup too. He gained 1.7 strokes per round on the field, and he did the same thing again at the John Deere. So his approach play has been great. He's always good off the tee. Despite his short game not being great, I like Keith just because his ball striking prowess is there. And like we said, I do love some Tom Hoagie. I don't know what, like, Ryan Fox, man. You got Tom McKibben there, who's a darling this week. Everyone's on him. He's been playing phenomenal golf on the DP World Tour, and he is a great ball striker. If you've seen the kid hit it, like he bombs it. He's the next. They're calling him like the next Rory, but he's not. He's not going to be on that level. But yeah, he's been playing well. Second and fourth, I think, or second and sixth in his last two events. Yeah, second. And sixth.
Tell me about a guy I've never heard of. Tell me about a World Tour darling who has actually had a fantastic season on the World Tour. Never even heard his name, Tom McKibben.
That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah. Tell me about him, though. Tell me more about him.
I've
never heard about him. Who is he? Where's he from? What's his background? Who did he date in college?
I don't know who he did it in college, but he is extremely young. He's not even 22 yet. But if you look at his finishes on the DP World Tour, second in his previous event, then sixth before that, 41st at the U.S. Open, made the cut just barely, and then worked his way up. But 8th, 23rd, 7th, missed the cut, T9, T12, 4th, 16th, 6th, 14th. He gains his strokes off the tee and on approach, so he's a phenomenal ball striker. Short game, not great. Putting, mediocre. When you're hitting so many greens and you're putting it into that like makeable birdie putt range, it's hard to gain strokes putting. So I'm not surprised to see that. But yeah, he's a viable play this week. I don't love his ownership jumping up to where it is. I don't know who he did it in college, but he will be a Ryder Cup.
Oh, we lost Adam. Hate when that happens. All right, he'll be back momentarily. I'll keep talking about a few of the people that I like in the 7K range based on the models. I'm going to ask him about Erik van Rooyen when he comes back here. I like Rasmus Højgaard. I like him a lot. We're going to go down this list of the model here. Few people in the 6K range. Ben Griffin pops up yet again. We've talked about him 2 or 3 times over the last few weeks. Let's see here. I like Justin Rose to be a little bit of a grinder down here. And who else do I like in the 6K range? Lee Hodges really screwed me last week, so we can't go back there. Let's see. Andrew Novak pops up in the simulations. We got who else popped up in my little simulations? Down in the 5K range, I like a little Davis Riley down there. Going to be completely unowned. And let's see. Taylor Montgomery pops up a little tiny bit. It's really kind of a crapshoot down here in the 5K range, guys. I don't have a whole ton here. I was really hoping Adam would help me out with that 5K range. But he's gone here. But let me tell you, head over to drroto.com. Adam has his weekly article up over behind our paywall over there. We are getting hot and heavy into best ball and getting prepared for the football season. We will have some live drafts being broadcast here in the coming weeks. And we really look forward to a great football season. And we'll be back next week for the British Open. Appreciate you all. Have a good day.